Trooper, can you state your full name for me, please?
Trooper Worley.
Okay, if you don't mind, just speak up a little bit where everyone can hear you.
Trooper Worley.
Okay, where are you employed?
With Eastern Highway Patrol and Middleton.
All right, and how long have you worked for them?
Since February of 2015.
Since 2015?
That's it.
Okay. And were you working in that capacity back October 21st of 2023?
Yes.
And were you in Humphreys County that day or that evening?
I did come to Humphreys County that evening.
You were?
Yes.
Okay. If you don't mind, I know you're soft-spoken, but if you don't mind, just speak up a little bit louder so everyone can hear. So you were in Humphreys County that day?
I did get a call to Humphreys County that day. Yes.
Okay. And what kind of call was it?
It was called to an injury crash on Highway 70.
On Highway 70?
That's right.
Okay. And where was the location of this crash specifically?
It's eastbound Highway 70, there's not like a cross street near there.
Okay. But it was in Humphreys County?
Yes, it's here in Humphreys County.
All right. And so did you arrive to that scene?
I did. The call came out at 1:49 a.m. and I arrived to the scene at 2:47.
Okay, and what did you see when you got there?
There was a black pickup truck off the roadway next to standing trees.
I'm sorry, what?
There was a black pickup truck off the roadway against standing trees.
It was in some trees?
Yes, so it was off the roadway to the right.
Okay.
The trees pretty much just would stop the vehicle. The vehicle actually got near the warning and stopped against the trees.
Okay. Was there anyone in the vehicle when you got there?
There was no one in the vehicle. The driver had already been transported, but the deputies that were originally first called to the crash, they were there.
Okay, when you say deputies, who are you referring to? Like,
Humphreys County deputies.
okay, they were on scene before you got there.
That's correct.
And they called Tennessee Highway Patrol to take over the scene?
Yes, the call was initially put through to Humphreys County, and then Humphreys County's dispatch calls to Highway Patrol dispatch.
Okay. And I'm not asking you to say what anyone said, but did you speak to the deputies there on scene?
I did.
Okay. And had they seen Mr. Singleton?
The deputies on scene had talked to Mr. Singleton, and I'm not sure which one, but one did. I know someone did help him get out of this vehicle. One of the deputies.
Okay. And was he transported to, which hospital was he transported to?
3 Rivers here in Humphreys County.
Okay. Do you know how he was transported?
Yes.
So after speaking with the deputies on scene, was there anyone else on scene?
Yes, there was a tow company. There was a tow company on scene.
Did you speak with the tow company driver, the tow truck driver on scene?
I did.
Okay. And what was your next step at that point in time?
At that point in time, after I get the paperwork to the tow driver for them to go ahead and accept the vehicle being paid from the Highway Patrol, at that point, I go to the hospital to talk to the driver.
Okay. And did you do any investigation there on scene?
Yes, as far as a single vehicle crash, I didn't see anything in particular on the roadway. There was no evidence to show that there was another vehicle that could have caused him to run off the road or anything that showed that he had made contact with any vehicles there.
To your knowledge, were there any witnesses to the crash?
To my knowledge, I didn't have any witnesses. No one remained on scene to say that it's a crash.
Okay. Do you know how Humphreys County became aware of it?
I believe that someone else had seen the vehicle off in the woods and called it in, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay.
We called in the crash.
Okay. But again, just to reiterate, no one to your knowledge saw the crash take place.
That's correct.
Okay. And after you had made that determination, what did you do next?
And when I got to the hospital, it was to ask the driver his recollection of the crash, what happened, if he had any details that could help me with the investigation for the crash.
Okay, so you spoke with Mr. Singleton?
That is correct.
Okay. And where was he in the hospital when you got there?
He was in a hospital bed. He had some machines things connected to him.
Was the hospital checking him out?
That is correct.
Okay. Did he have any injuries?
Yes, I don't know the extent of his injuries, but he did have injuries.
Was he able to talk to you?
He was able to speak to us.
So you spoke with Mr. Singleton, correct?
I did.
Did you notice anything about his physical appearance, particular his eyes, when you were talking to him?
I did notice that his eyes.
Judge, I'm going to object where this testimony is going.
I'm just asking about his general physical condition.
Well, obviously, I think we all understand that there's one particular type of testimony that we're not going to elicit from this witness without a jury out hearing. So just avoid that, please.
Yes, Judge, I'm not asking you to get into anything. I'm just asking what you noticed or observed about him, his demeanor when you initially began speaking with him. What do you
Ladies and
recall?
gentlemen, let's have you step across here, please. All right, Mr. Atchison, I assume your objection is preemptive. Just broke out. How could you do that? You've got to turn that handle upside down. So there you go.
I'm so sorry.
Also deals with that.
Mike has a weird feedback.
I think you got to turn that.
Tried to turn this earlier.
It's got like a reverberation.
It hasn't.
Yeah.
When every time I see it talking, looking, I was only one who could think.
For some reason we can't get better audio.
But I have to have.
It's been the case ever since. This was supposedly an upgrade over what we had before, right? Sheriff Davis, my good friend, has watched too many shows where they hold the microphone.
Is this okay? Because I don't want to move it again. I don't want to touch it, but
You can almost, it's just like if you were on stage before me, you have to get right on top of the microphone for it to be heard. All right, you're making a preemptory challenge to make sure, or an objection, to make sure that we're not talking about the stigma against.
100%.
Trooper, I sent the jury out because there was a moment of, looked like to me, a momentary confusion. The law does not allow a person to testify about the stigma gaze test that you officers use unless you have been trained specifically and are qualified as an expert witness. Most of the time, we try to avoid any mention of that test to avoid confusing the jury. So I sent the jury out so that I could just instruct you. When the question was asking you about his eyes, don't start in saying, well, I gave him the stigma gaze test. Okay? As long as you do that,
That was the only reason for the objection.
I was trying to
We
get
cut it off before.
I was just trying to get down to.
it's always better to be, I understand.
And I should have
His
worded it.
overall appearance is an issue that she can testify about, but it is not going to include any testimony regarding the stigma gaze test.
Of course.
So, all
Yes,
right, then let's bring the jury back. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the inconvenience. Sometimes my job is to make sure that you don't hear something that would otherwise be inadmissible. It's easier to avoid you hearing it than to let you hear something and then tell you to disregard it. So out of an abundance of caution, there was nothing wrong about what was taking place. I just wanted to clarify where we were in the questioning to make sure that there wasn't something that was going to come in. So we're all ready to go. I apologize for the inconvenience, but you may continue with your examination.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, I'm gonna re-ask the question. when you initially saw Mr. Singleton, when you began speaking with him, how did his general demeanor seem to you?
General demeanor is that for me at the time that he had been under the influence of alcohol, I was looking at his eyes, I didn't see water in the colors of his eyes were not green. He just in talking to him, he was speaking more than most people would when you ask a question. He would continue on talking about things that I hadn't actually asked about.
Did he repeat himself when he was speaking with you? And of course, did you ask him if he had been drinking or had a drink?
I did. He said that he had had one beer and that he could take it.
And did you ask for consent for a blood draw? Do you guys-
I did ask for consent for the blood draw. It's that form that we use to let people know that their rights are concerning getting their blood drawn.
And did he sign the implied consent form?
He did.
Okay, so he gave consent.
He
voluntarily.
gave consent voluntarily to have his blood drawn.
And once you got the blood, well, let me back up. Did you observe the blood draw take place?
I did.
Okay. So a technician from the hospital drew the blood?
Yes, they came in, they drew the blood. We bring our own, troopers bring our own blood kits, it's a little small testing box. We get that information, we get the information of the driver's identity along with the blood kit to the person who's going to do the blood draw, so they know that the implied consent was actually signed by the person who's on the line.
Okay. And you observed that take place?
That is,
Okay. And then you put the blood in your kit, correct, that you were just describing?
yes, we put the blood in the kit, and then after leaving the hospital, we go to an evidence box in the box. It's only accessible by the evidence custodian to take the blood.
So you did not access it after it was sealed.
It's correct. Once it's sealed, it goes in the box.
And then did you or someone at your agency take that blood to the TBI?
That's correct. The evidence custodian comes around to each county, collects the evidence from the evidence box, and then they take it straight to the TBI office for it to be tested.
Okay, and it gets dropped off directly to the TBI?
That is correct.
Do you recall when the blood was drawn?
I believe it was at 4:33 in the morning.
Okay.
The morning of the case. 21st. the morning of the case.
I believe you testified that this incident happened on October 21st or 23, correct?
Can you just-
Yeah, may I approach the witness?
You know,
Is this a copy of your toxicology request form?
Yes.
Okay. And is that your signature where you signed to show that you had taken the blood, you got the blood, it was sealed in where it was supposed to be sealed and ready to be taken to the TBI?
That's correct. It's my signature.
I'm sorry, what now?
That's correct. That is my signature.
Okay. If you could please pass that to the judge, Your Honor, I'd like to introduce those exhibit 1.
this is exhibit 1. We want this passed to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the exhibits that will be necessary to pass them to you, but this is just an alcohol toxicology request form, which has nothing more than a consent to draw blood. So you'll be able to look at this back in the jury room when you begin the deliberations, but we're not going to delay by having it submitted to you right now.
One moment, Judge, I'm just making sure. How would you say your interaction with Mr. Singleton went?
It was cordial. He wasn't rude. He didn't yell. He didn't refuse to answer any questions.
So he was cooperative.
Yes.
And did you perform any standard field sobriety tests, like the 9-step walk and turn, the 1-leg stand, or anything like that with Mr. Singleton?
I did for Mr. One test.
Sorry, I'm just asking you about
I
those.
couldn't do anything further because he was in the hospital. So
Okay.
he couldn't do like the walk and turn or the 1-leg stand.
Yes, that's what I'm asking. So you didn't do those,
I could not do those because he was.
and those are not on your,
injuries.
those are not on your body cam.
That is correct.
And the reason for that is specifically?
Due to his injuries, I wasn't going to make him get out of the hospital bed to try and perform this test.
Okay. And was that for his safety more than anything?
It's for safety. Sometimes people might think that they couldn't perform the test, but I would hate for someone to actually stand up when they're injured after a crash, it's a pretty severe crash, and for him to possibly fall and injure himself again.
Okay. And are you allowed to not do those in those situations?
That's correct. We don't want to have further injuries.
And as far as your training goes, you went to the Academy for Troopers, correct?
That is correct.
When did you go there?
And that was in 2015, February 2015, so
And how long was that program?
6 months.
6 months? Okay. And are you up to date and current on all training?
I am.
Okay. Did you receive training to investigate DUIs and potential DUIs?
That is correct. And additional training also went to the program.
The ARID program?
That is correct.
And what is that?
It gives you a more in-depth investigation technique for determining that you were able to investigate DUI. So there's an original class that you go to for the Trooper Academy, and there's additional training afterwards if you choose.
Did you make a decision to charge Mr. Singleton just because a crash had occurred?
No, I made that decision after talking to Mr. Singleton and after seeing his condition and how he answers for the questions.
Okay. I'm gonna play the body cam now and get that set up here.
Okay.
See, he does take control.
It's that Windows button and the G.
Okay. Oh,
And
if you flip it, yeah.
screen share.
This is trying to connect. See, can I bring that tip up to you? To show you what he's saying.
Yes. But if they would choose Oh, there it is. Okay. Well,
Is that a true and accurate portrayal of your body cam footage from that evening or that morning? Okay. And did the defendant, he did admit to drinking?
That is correct.
Do you recall how many beers he said he had?
He said he had 1 beer.
And was that, did you say with half of a large pizza or?
Yes, he did.
Right. So he had beer with pizza.
That is correct.
And he said that was earlier that evening, or did he give you a time frame, or do you recall?
Just that it was after he had been at work, after he had been at work, that he had the pizza and beer at a restaurant.
Is that working? Can you speak up?
He said he had the beer with the pizza after he'd been at work that day. So he had gone home and cleaned up after work.
Okay. There's a terrible feedback sound or something coming from that microphone. Did I correctly hear Mr. Singleton ask for your phone number when he started talking to you, or what did he say to you at the beginning?
I believe he just said that I had a sweet voice. I don't believe he asked for, I did ask for his number for the report.
Okay. Did he appear to be flirting with you a little bit?
Yeah, he just seemed like he was in a good mood despite his injuries.
So going back to the beginning of the video, when you arrived on scene and you were speaking with someone, do you recall the statement you made that you were going to go get Mr. Singleton's blood?
Yes, I was talking to one of the tow drivers at that time.
Why did you make that statement?
Prior to the tow driver getting there, one of the deputies had mentioned to me that when they interacted with Mr. Singleton, that he was under the influence.
Judge, I'm going to check to hearsay.
And the purpose of introducing that statement is what?
Not for the truth of any matter asserted, Your Honor, just to try to explain the trooper's course of conduct and the reason for her investigation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to overrule the objection, and allow the statement to come in, but you're to accept that statement only as to show why the officer why the troopers took certain steps, and why she followed up with certain things, not based upon the truth of the matter that's asserted in that statement. In other words, she talks to someone, they tell her something, and I'm allowing it to come in to show why she followed up on it. But you're not to accept the statement as being true. It's being admitted to show that why she took certain steps.
So you spoke to deputies on the scene prior to going to see Mr. Singleton,
That is correct. Her police
and you were given information from them
Yes, that is correct.
that led you to make the investigation that you did.
Yes.
And I'm not asking you to go into detail, or if there is any, but what specific thing were you told that made you think that you needed to do that type of investigation? And that was from the deputies that were there before you got there, then you took over the scene.
Yes,
But you making that statement, by making that statement, were you at that point in time determined to charge Mr. Singleton with DUI?
no, I was determined to make sure I investigated, talked to him, and to see for myself if he was under the influence.
So you still plan to do an investigation?
That's the,
Your mind wasn't made up to charge him at that point?
no, it was not.
And you did do an investigation, correct?
Yes, so it was my
Objection.
conversation.
I'll rephrase that, Judge.
She's leading.
I said, I'll rephrase that.
Sustained illegal.
Did you do an investigation?
I did. My conversation with Mr. Singleton and observing his speech and how he spoke with me and how he continued to pretty much say more than I actually asked for. And did his demeanor as all part of my investigation, considering he was not able to stand up and perform the standardized skills of ethics.
So it was multiple things that led you to make the decision that you did?
Yes, multiple different factors.
Okay. And why did you make the decision to ask for his consent for a blood draw?
Part of the decision was his speech. Part of it was the conversation itself. There's partially his eyes at the time, and also his demeanor, and his statement that he said that he had had alcohol, and that was 1 year ago. I knew alcohol was in his system, and that I needed to find out the level of the alcohol.
And do you recall what his blood alcohol level was according to the test?
Yes, 0.11.
Okay. No further questions, Judge. And is that Mr. Singleton's signature on there?
Yes,
And you watched him sign it?
that's correct.
And he's just given permission for his blood to be drawn, correct?
Yes,
Okay, if you don't mind, please pass that to the judge. You're about to enter that as exhibit number
That
2.
mark is exhibit 2.
Thank you, Judge. No further questions.
Right, now, Mr. Atchison, are you ready for cross-examination?
I am, Judge. Good afternoon, Trooper Worley.
definitely.
How are you?
Pretty well, yourself?
Better than I deserve. I apologize. All right, so it's your testimony that you've been with the Tennessee Highway Patrol since 2015, is that correct?
That's correct.
And Trooper, you were dispatched to a single vehicle crash, is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
And when you arrived, Mr. Singleton had already been transported to the hospital, correct?
Yes, we already gone with EMS.
Now, you didn't personally observe the crash occur, correct?
That's correct. I was present.
You didn't see how the vehicle was being operated prior to the crash, correct?
Yes,
And so today, you can't testify as to how fast the vehicle was going, correct?
that's correct. Yes.
Or what driving maneuvers may have happened or did not happen, correct?
That's correct. I didn't know how he was driving at that time.
There's also your testimony, there were no witnesses to the crash, correct?
That's correct. No one stayed around afterwards to tell me that they were with us.
And after you arrived on scene and then after your subsequent trip to the hospital, no witnesses came forward.
No, no
You
one
didn't-
came forward during the time.
You didn't interview anybody after the event, correct?
No, that I didn't have any information from the witness.
Now, let's go to when you arrived on scene. I believe it's your testimony that when you arrived on scene, the tow truck driver was there, correct?
Yes, sorry, 2 people with us.
Okay. And Trooper, isn't it also true that you made the comment, looks like I'll be getting some blood?
That's correct.
Prior to that, you also made the comment to the tow truck driver, I think he just passed out. You recall making that statement?
Yes, because it originally came out that he had died, and also that maybe he had just passed out.
So that was just an assumption on your part.
Yes, yes, because he wasn't, obviously, he was alive.
Now, today, as you testify, you can't say what caused the crash, correct?
As far as the maneuver that he made, I can't say exactly what he did.
So, but we know that there's a number of reasons that crashes occur, correct? That could be vehicle malfunction, roadway condition, avoiding animals, correct?
That's true.
But in this instance, you can't testify as to what caused Mr. Singleton's vehicle to be off the roadway, correct?
That's true.
Now, Trooper Worley, are you trained in crash reconstruction? So while on scene of the crash, did you note any skid marks?
But there was not many marks on the road, but I couldn't see if there was anything that sustained to what I need to fix. All I could see was part of tire marks in the grass, but that was after the vehicle had already been airborne. So it's not leaving the roadway, it's just where the vehicle, where it was coming to the stop.
Now, when you say airborne, did you reconstruct this crash to in fact determine? What do you mean by airborne?
So the road is up here. There's like a slide, there's pretty deep embankment right there. Where his vehicle went off the road, there were no tire marks showing that it went down the actual embankment. So the vehicle was actually in the air. So there was no evidence showing that the vehicle just ran off the road a little bit and then slid down. So there were no marks there. So the vehicle had to have been in the air to not leave any marks in the grass.
I understand that part. Is that not just the lay of the area right there? I mean, is that a pretty big ditch right there?
It was kind of steep. Had the vehicle not been airborne, it would have left a trail from the roadway to the trees.
Did you at any point in time mark anywhere on the road where you identified skid marks, brake marks, or any of those things?
No, there was nothing that I could verify was actually to this.
Now, I believe it was your testimony that you stated you had not made your mind up before you made contact with Mr. Singleton.
That's right.
But you did, in fact, make the statement that I'm going to go get some blood.
And it's also determined when I get there and talk to the individual if I feel like I need to do. So I had arrived on to the hospital and conditions were different. I didn't feel the need for the blood, then I wouldn't have gotten the consent, and I wouldn't have drawn the blood.
And so your first contact with Mr. Singleton was, in fact, at the hospital, correct?
That's right.
Now, we're going to fast forward, just like we did in the video. When you first arrived at the hospital, who was the first person you had contact with?
I'm not sure if she was a nurse or.
So a hospital employee, would that be safe to say? Now, and we all watched your body cam footage. When you walk in and you encounter the nurse, you ask her a question, correct? We don't really hear it, but we see your hand movement, correct?
Yes.
Did you in fact ask her if Mr. Singleton was impaired or had been drinking?
I don't know my correct exact phrasing of it,